Anthropic just dropped something that kills N8N, Make, Zapier, Clawbot, all of those automation platforms, and it's called Routines. And what it actually is Claude Code running on autopilot, no approval prompts, no laptop having to be open, and no N8N orchestration having to sit in between everything that's running in your business. You write a prompt, you can connect any of your repos and your tools, you pick a trigger, either schedule it via API call or via GitHub, and it just runs on their cloud while you sleep. First, I'm going to show you how to set one up in the next 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go through where I think this is going, as this is going to be leading into the next generation of AI agents. So there's 3 words that cover exactly how this process works. It's unattended, repeatable, and tied to a clear outcome. That's what routine achieves. And it's actually 3 important things all stacked together. A prompt, which you want Claude to do, your repos, which is basically all your code or your folders and files that you want Claude to work with, and your connectors, which is basically your Slack, your MCP integrations, your Google Drive connections, any of the stuff that you'd be using with Claude every day anyways. You basically set a trigger and it runs, and then you get a session URL that you can either watch live or just review after. This is not a scheduled cron job. A cron job runs the same script every time. A routine basically runs Claude code every single time that you call it, meaning that it can think, it can react, it can build. Everything that Claude Code does, it can do. Let me show you the 3 ways that you can set up routines. You can do it in web, you can do it via the CLI, or you can do it on the desktop. Let's start with the web. First, you go to claude.ai/code/routines, and you will see that there is a brand new routine section here, and they already have templates built out that you can check out yourself. And it's as easy as going to creating a new routine, give it a name that tells you what it does when you see it in a list, and then you write the prompt into it. If you've used the Claude extension or computer use before, this is very similar because it's self-contained, so you have to give it every single step granularly so that it can understand what it needs to do. You have to give it context so it knows exactly what to do, what to check, and where to put the output. So now I'm going to pick the trigger of daily at 9 a.m. Here we can add a different environment, and you can add your own environment here. And environments basically control network access. You can put in your .env variables, your setup scripts. So if you need specific packages or anything installed, you can set that up here. That's a default workflow that just runs as soon as it started. We picked the daily 9 a.m. trigger. And then here, if you've been wiring up MCP connectors, Slack, Google Drive, Appify, this is where it all pays off. Everything you've already connected to your workflow, to your Claude, and to your desktop app, it's all going to be showing up here by default. You can remove what is not needed. That's up to you. Now, that's it. And then you click create. It runs tomorrow at whatever time you set. You can also hit run now to test it, and that will go off manually and do its thing. Now, if you wanted to do the same using the CLI, it is actually even faster. You can just get into Claude when I'm in the folder that I want to be in, type in schedule, and then you can also give it a prompt, or you can give it a set of instructions right after. So let's say I do something like daily content review at 9 a.m. Manila time. And it's going to go through my work folder here. It's going to find all the things that I tell it to, and it's going to set that up for me. So now you're going to see that Claude is going to walk you through that entire setup. Question by question, it's going to walk you through it manually. And in this way, you can kind of just speak to it and get what you need out of it done pretty easily. So I'm just going to hit down record, and I'll talk into the mic. Let's say audit the content folder, review all of the posts and tell us what the angles are, and run them all through our stop slop and our humanizer skills. Check what's in the repurpose pipeline and see how they are doing, how they are being scored. So now it's given a breakdown of how it's going to run everything and exactly the prompt that it's going to run in Claude Code. Now you can see that it is actually successfully shipped and that I can manage it actually over here, and it's just going to send me to that routines website that we saw before, which you will then see how it looks, and then you can run now from there. Or you can go schedule list right in Claude Code, and it should show all of your routines that are ready to go. And if you wanted to run it straight from the CLI, you could also just hit schedule run, but I'm not going to do that yet because we already ran it. So now you can see we have the one that we created before, the routine that we created before, and the routine that we had just created. The only limitation here is that the CLI can only do scheduled triggers. If you wanted to do API or GitHub triggers, which are also new features of routines, you have to add those from the web. Now the one that's an absolute game changer and that replaces N8N and all those automation tools is the API trigger. The amazing thing is that each routine gets its own API endpoint and bearer token. And when you post to it, you basically spin up a version of Claude Code that you don't need to be watching yourself. So literally anywhere you can send this request, your pipeline, from your lead list, from a Supabase edge function, to a curl command on your phone. All of this can now trigger a full-on Claude Code session. So let me add an API trigger to this. Now you can see we have this modal where we can generate a token. You copy that token and store it somewhere safely. You send the API call. The text form is free-filled. Basically, that means that Claude Code is just going to be able to read and get context from whatever is going on in there. Here's the example curl you can use, and you can just switch out your authorization over here, and you can send that on its way. And here we have a successful response telling us the session ID and the session URL. Basically, if we go to this URL here, we will see the actual session and the logs. So in the next video, I'll be wiring up everything actually into my architecture, which runs my whole entire business, which has basically all the skills and tools that I need to do everything from ads, client fulfillment, content, and outreach, production, and all my brand references all in one place. GGC is the pole dancing studio that I run with my partner, and I'll be going through exactly how I set up routines for all of this. So let's think about what this could mean. It could mean something like when my Apify scraper finishes, it can call this endpoint when a lead replies in instantly. It can also ping this endpoint. If my voice AI call finishes, it can also let me know here. It can send the sales transcripts and after being broken down through one of my Claude Code setups, all in one place. No N8N orchestration, no workflow builder, just an HTTP post, and Claude can handle it. Now the last trigger is GitHub events, and this is the one that most people are sleeping on if you're not a developer. You could be using this for code review if you had a dev team, but as a business owner, you're going to be using the repos as a way to trigger your business automations. Here's what I mean. I have the repo open here with all my lead data, my outreach templates, my content calendar, which is the same as what you saw in Claude Code before. That's where I push all my leads into that repo. Basically, I can make that push the trigger. So let's first go back, add my repository here, add another trigger, and then we'll do a GitHub event. Now it's going to prompt you to install the GitHub app, and I'll go through that installation. Cool, so now we have it all set up. And here we can do it so that when the PR is merged, it's going to shoot off our automation. So you can filter too so that the pull requests are only on certain branches, like the main branch, for example. So in my use case, I'm going to push a new batch of scraped leads as a CSV to my gist-ops repo, and the push trigger fires. And when I choose to merge it to my main branch as a pull request, it's going to fire off the automation. The routine is then going to read the file. It's going to deduplicate against what's already been processed. It's going to score the leads. It's going to generate personalized first touch cold outreach message. And then it's going to commit the output to the branch. Then I'll review the branch, and then I can merge everything once again. And all of my outreach is ready to send. This is basically fueling my AIOS. Oh, shit. This is basically fueling one part of my AI OS. And you can do your entire signal processing pipeline being run on Anthropic's very own cloud. All of it triggered by a GitHub event. Okay, so everything that I showed you is what is happening right now, but I'd like to think about where this could go. There's a concept blowing up right now in AI engineering called harness engineering, and the core idea is simple. The model isn't actually the hard part. It's basically building a system around the model. A harness, much like this architecture that I've built out here, which you can actually get yourself custom made. I'll link it in the description. All the skills that I've been accumulating over the last few months, you can grab all of that in the description below. But basically, a harness is similar to this workflow where all the constraints, the tools, the feedback loops, and the permissions that you need to wrap around the AI are actually made to be reliable. Without a harness, you have a chatbot, but with a harness, you have an actual working agent. And you can build out bigger, better, more robust systems that learn over time and that can actually do a lot more output because you are saving a bunch more tokens and they are building upon what they've already built upon. So if you've been building with Claude Code already and you've been building out claude.md files, if you've thought about using a folder structure similar to the one that I have here and are setting up skills and sub-skill workflows which call one another, then you have basically been building out harness engineering. You just didn't really have the word for it yet. So this is like the generation 3 layer of AI, and Claude shipped managed agents last week, which is basically the API version of routines, but with no daily cap. It supports multiple agents and it's designed for building products. You can think of it as routines being consumer level and the managed agents as being more developer level, but they do rely on API credits and can get a little bit more pricey for everyday use. But you can scale it as much as you pay for it. So the vision here, I think, is that all of your AI systems become some sort of managed agent with their own tools, with their own connectors, their own MCPs, their own APIs, and they all run on Anthropic's infrastructure. You don't need a VPS, you don't need Docker. You basically just define the agent, you trigger it, and you get the results. So to end out, let's just do some quick management stuff. You can click on any of your routines and you can go to your runs and you can see exactly what's been happening. As I said, I'll be building this out into my full folder structure where I install all my skills and my architecture and show you exactly how everything can be lined up so that it makes sense in that kind of way in the next coming video. So make sure to hit subscribe to stay in the loop. You can also see if you wanted to repeat or just make it a custom cron expression. Pause and stop this at any time. And edit to change the prompt or the triggers. But one thing you should be aware of is the usage and limits. They basically draw down subscription usage the same way that interactive sessions do. And they have a daily cap on how many runs can start per account. For a pro account, that's 5 a day. For a max account, that's 15 a day. And for teams, that's 25 routines a day. So routines just dropped yesterday. It's still in research preview, so things might change, but the direction is absolutely clear right now. If you've been building out a bunch of N8N or automation workflows or using CloudBot, things like that, you can finally close your laptop because this is the absolute replacement. I'm going to be building out my entire system live and showing what actually works in real production. So if you want to see how I'm going to wire this into my own business, follow along. Peace.